Dr. Elena Vasquez pressed her gloved hand against the cold metal surface of the alien device. The research vessel Kepler's Dream floated silently in the darkness of space, while her team worked on the surface of the dead planet below. She had spent 3 years studying the ruins scattered across this world, but nothing had prepared her for what they found buried beneath the largest structure. The device looked like a massive tower made of black crystal and silver metal. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly with an inner light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Elena's team had been careful as they dug it out of the ancient rubble. They knew that alien technology could be dangerous, but their excitement had grown with each passing day as they uncovered more of the structure. "Doctor, we've finished setting up the power cells," called out James Park, her chief technician. He was a young man with steady hands and a brilliant mind for electronics. "The device is responding to our energy inputs, but slowly." Elena nodded and looked around at her team. Besides James, she had brought Dr. Sarah Chen, an expert in alien languages, and Marcus Rodriguez, their security officer, who also helped with heavy equipment. They were good people, and she trusted them completely. But standing here in front of this ancient machine, she felt a chill that had nothing to do with the planet's cold atmosphere. "Sarah, what do you think about these symbols?" Elena asked, pointing to the markings that seemed to shift and change as she watched them. Dr. Chen adjusted her thick glasses and moved closer to the tower. She had spent years learning how to read alien writing systems, and her work had helped humans understand several extinct civilizations. "They're unlike anything I've seen before," she said quietly. "But there are patterns here. I think this might be some kind of communication device." Marcus stood a few steps back, his hand resting on the weapon at his side. He was an older man with gray hair and scars on his face from his time in the military. He had seen enough dangerous situations to know when something felt wrong. "Doctor, maybe we should take more time to study this thing before we turn it on," he said. Elena understood his concern, but they had been on this planet for weeks already. Their supplies were running low, and Earth's Research Council expected results soon. "We'll be careful," she promised. "We'll just give it a small amount of power and see what happens." James connected the power cables to ports they had found at the base of the tower. The device hummed softly as energy flowed into it. The symbols began to glow brighter, and the black crystal started to emit a low vibrating sound that they could feel in their bones. "It's working," James said with excitement in his voice. "The power levels are stable and the device is definitely active." Sarah was recording everything on her tablet, taking pictures of the symbols as they changed. "Elena, look at this," she called out. "These symbols are moving. They're actually rearranging themselves into new patterns." Elena watched as the ancient writing shifted and flowed like water across the surface of the tower. Then something strange happened. Among the alien symbols, she began to see familiar shapes. Letters from Earth's alphabet appeared briefly between the flowing alien text. "That's impossible," she whispered. "How can this thing know human writing?" The tower's humming grew louder, and the light from the symbols became brighter. James checked his instruments and frowned. "Doctor, the power draw is increasing on its own. The device is pulling more energy than we're giving it." Marcus stepped forward, his hand now gripping his weapon. "Something's wrong here. We should shut it down." But before anyone could move, the tower erupted in brilliant light. The symbols raced across its surface like lightning, and the air around them filled with a strange crackling sound. Helena felt her hair stand on end as electricity danced through the atmosphere. "It's sending a signal," Sarah shouted over the noise. "This is a communication array and it's broadcasting something into space." The device was now drawing power from sources they couldn't identify. The black crystal at its peak shot a beam of pure energy into the sky, piercing through the planet's thin atmosphere and reaching out into the darkness between stars. The beam was invisible to human eyes, but their instruments showed that it was broadcasting across multiple dimensions of space and time. Elena tried to reach the power controls, but the energy field around the tower pushed her back. "James, can you shut it down remotely?" "I'm trying," he called back, working frantically on his equipment. "But it's not responding to our commands anymore. The device has taken control of the power flow." The signal broadcast for exactly 17 minutes. During that time, Elena and her team could only watch helplessly as the ancient machine sent its message across the galaxy. When it finally stopped, the sudden silence felt deafening. The tower's symbols faded back to their original dim glow, and the humming noise disappeared. What just happened? Marcus asked, still holding his weapon ready. Sarah was staring at her tablet with wide eyes. I managed to record part of the signal, she said. Elena, you need to see this. The device wasn't just sending random noise. It was broadcasting a distress call. Elena looked at the data on Sarah's screen. Mixed in with the alien patterns were fragments of human languages. English words like help and danger appeared repeatedly in the signal. There were also pieces of Earth's historical records, mathematical formulas that humans used, and even coordinates pointing toward Earth's location in space. How is this possible? Elena asked. This device has been buried here for thousands of years. How does it know about humanity? Sarah shook her head. I don't know, but somehow this alien technology absorbed information about us, maybe from our radio signals that reached this system, or from some other source we don't understand. James was checking the power systems and making sure everything was safe. The device is stable now, he reported. But doctor, there's something else. Before it shut down, I detected that the signal was transmitted on frequencies that can travel much faster than light. Whatever message this thing sent, it's probably already reached civilizations thousands of light years away. Elena felt a cold fear settling in her stomach. They had come here to study ancient ruins and learn about a dead civilization. Instead, they had accidentally activated a device that announced humanity's location to the entire galaxy. And the message it sent was a distress call, which might make other species think that humans were weak and in need of help. We need to contact Earth immediately, she said. Command needs to know what happened here. As her team packed up their equipment and prepared to return to their ship, Elena took one last look at the alien tower. Its symbols were dim now, but she could swear that some of them still showed fragments of human writing. Whatever civilization had built this device, they had somehow known that humanity would find it one day. The question that frightened her most was simple. Who or what had they just called for help? And more importantly, what kind of help would answer such a call? Above them, the research vessel Kepler's Dream waited to carry them home. But Elena knew that home might not be safe much longer. The signal was already racing across the galaxy, carrying with it the news that humanity existed and needed assistance. Soon, the entire galaxy would know about Earth. And Elena had no idea whether that was a good thing or the beginning of the end for the human race. Admiral Marcus Chen stood on the bridge of the flagship Retribution, staring out at the stars that no human had ever seen before. His ship and the rest of the Ghost Fleet had been traveling in the dark spaces between galaxies for over 20 years. Most people on Earth believed they were dead, and perhaps that was for the best. The Ghost Fleet consisted of 12 ships, each one built with technology that Earth's regular military could only dream of. These vessels had been designed using knowledge gained from fighting aliens that the public never knew existed. Wars had been fought in secret, far from human space, against enemies that would have destroyed Earth if they had ever reached it. Marcus was an old man now, with gray hair and deep lines on his face. He had been young when the fleet first left Earth on their secret mission. Now, after decades of battle and exploration in the void beyond known space, he sometimes felt like he was more ghost than man. Admiral, called out Captain Lisa Wu from her position at the communication station. She was one of the few original crew members still alive, a brilliant woman who had kept their long-range sensors working through countless battles. I'm detecting something unusual. We're receiving a signal from human space. Marcus turned toward her with surprise. The Ghost Fleet had maintained complete radio silence for 2 decades. They were not supposed to contact Earth or respond to any messages from home. Their mission was to stay hidden while they hunted the threats that lurked in the darkness between stars. That's impossible, Marcus said. We're too far away to receive normal human transmissions. Lisa worked at her controls, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Sir, this isn't a normal transmission. It's coming through multiple dimensions of space-time. Whatever sent this signal has technology that's far beyond anything our regular forces possess. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. During their years in the void, the Ghost Fleet had encountered technologies that defied human understanding. Some had been gifts from alien allies, others had been stolen from defeated enemies. But multi-dimensional broadcasting was something they had only seen once before, from a species so advanced that even thinking about them made his hands shake. Can you decode the message? He asked. Lisa's face went pale as she worked. Admiral, you need to hear this yourself. The signal is coming from the Tau Ceti system. and it's broadcasting on emergency frequencies. She activated the main speakers, and the bridge filled with the sound of the alien transmission. At first it sounded like random noise mixed with strange musical tones, but then Marcus began to hear familiar words mixed in with the alien sounds. English words. Human words: help, danger, Earth, coordinates. The message repeated several times before fading into static. Marcus stood in silence for a long moment, processing what he had heard. Someone in human space had activated alien technology and sent a distress call across the galaxy. More importantly, that signal had included Earth's location. "Sir," said Commander James Torres, the fleet's tactical officer. He was a younger man who had joined them during one of their stops at a hidden supply station. "If we received this signal, then other civilizations probably did too. This could compromise Earth's security." Marcus nodded grimly. During their time in the void, they had learned that the galaxy was full of species that viewed humanity as either a threat to be eliminated or prey to be consumed. Earth's safety had depended on staying quiet and unnoticed while building up their defenses. This signal had just announced humanity's location to every hostile force within 1,000 light years. "Commander Torres, what's our current position?" Marcus asked. "We're approximately 800 light years from Earth, sir. At maximum speed with our quantum fold drives, we could reach human space in 6 days." Marcus walked to the large display screen that showed their current location. Red dots marked the positions of known hostile civilizations, while blue dots showed the locations of species that might be neutral or friendly. There were far more red dots than blue ones. "Admiral," said Dr. Rachel Kim, the fleet's science officer. She was a small woman with intelligent eyes, who had designed many of their most advanced weapons. "I've been analyzing the signal. The transmission technology used is similar to what we've seen from the Zephyrian Empire, but there are differences. I think someone found ancient alien technology and accidentally activated it. The Zephyrian Empire was one of the most dangerous civilizations the Ghost Fleet had encountered. They were a hierarchical species that believed in conquering and enslaving other races. The fleet had fought 3 major battles against Zephyrian forces, winning each time but always at great cost. If the Zephyrians receive this signal," Marcus began, "they'll see it as an opportunity," Dr. Kim finished. "A chance to capture a new species before they become too strong to defeat." Marcus made his decision quickly. For 20 years they had followed their orders to maintain silence and stay hidden. But those orders had been written before anyone imagined that Earth's location might be broadcast to the entire galaxy. "All ships, prepare for immediate departure," he commanded. "Set course for Earth at maximum speed." Captain Wu looked up from her station with concern. "Sir, we're breaking our standing orders." "Command doesn't expect us to return for another 5 years." Marcus smiled grimly. "Command doesn't know that Earth just announced its location to every hostile force in the galaxy. Our mission was to protect humanity by fighting threats in the dark. But if enemies are heading toward Earth right now, then that's where we need to be." The Retribution began to vibrate as its massive engines powered up. Around them, the other ships of the Ghost Fleet did the same. These were not the sleek vessels that Earth's regular navy used. They were brutal, efficient machines built for war against enemies that had evolved beyond human understanding. Each ship carried weapons that had been designed by studying defeated alien technology. Their hulls were made from materials that could adapt to different types of damage. Their shield systems learned from every attack and became stronger with each battle. Most importantly, their AI systems had gained experience from fighting wars that no human had ever imagined. As the fleet began its journey toward home, Marcus thought about what they would find when they arrived. The signal had been sent days ago, which meant that hostile forces might already be moving toward human space. Earth's regular defenses were strong, but they had been designed to fight human-level threats. The aliens that were probably heading toward Earth right now were the same species that the Ghost Fleet had been fighting for 2 decades. Species with technology that could destroy planets, ships that could appear and disappear at will, and weapons that could turn living beings into weapons against their own people. But Marcus and his fleet had fought these enemies before and won. They had learned how to think like aliens, how to predict their tactics, and how to turn their own advanced technology against them. Most importantly, they had learned that humans could be just as dangerous as any alien species when their survival was at stake. "Admiral," said Captain Wu, "all ships are reporting ready for fold space jump." Marcus looked one last time at the stars they were leaving behind. For 20 years, they had been humanity's secret guardians, fighting battles that no one would ever know about. Now it was time to come home and show the galaxy exactly why Earth's most dangerous fleet had earned that title. Execute jump, he ordered. Space twisted around them as the ghost fleet disappeared into the fold, racing toward a battle that would determine whether humanity remained free or became slaves to alien masters. High Commander Zexithara of the Zephyrian Empire stood before the massive tactical display in the command center of the dreadnought Divine Conquest. The signal from human space had reached their territory 3 days ago, and since then, the Empire's war machine had been moving with deadly efficiency. The Zephyrians were tall, graceful beings with silver skin and forearms that moved with fluid precision. They had built their empire by conquering dozens of species, turning the strongest into soldiers and the weakest into slaves. Their society was built on the belief that superior civilizations had the right to rule over inferior ones. The human signal has been analyzed completely, reported Sub-Commander Kethara, bowing respectfully. Our intelligence division confirms that this species has only recently developed space travel. They appear to be confined to a small cluster of systems around their home world. Zexithara's golden eyes gleamed with satisfaction. The Empire had been looking for new territories to conquer, and the humans seemed perfect, young enough to be easily defeated, but advanced enough to be useful as workers and soldiers. What do we know about their military capabilities? She asked. Very limited, High Commander. Our long-range scouts have observed their ships, and they appear to use primitive fusion drives and basic energy weapons. Their largest vessels are smaller than our escort frigates. We estimate that a single battle group would be sufficient to conquer their entire civilization. This was exactly what Zexithara wanted to hear. The Empire's fleets were spread across dozens of campaigns, but conquering a weak species like the humans would require minimal resources while providing maximum gain. Thousands of light-years away, in the dark space between stars, the Kithara Collective was having a very different discussion. The collective was a hive mind made up of billions of insect-like beings who shared a single consciousness. They thought and acted as one, making decisions with terrifying speed and efficiency. The signal from human space had been detected by their sensor networks and analyzed by millions of minds working together. Unlike the Zephyrians, the collective did not see the humans as potential slaves. They saw them as a potential threat. In the vast bioships that served as their mobile cities, the collective's leaders communicated through direct neural links. They had concluded that any species, capable of broadcasting on multidimensional frequencies, possessed technology that could eventually challenge their supremacy. The decision was made with the cold logic that characterized all of the collective's actions. The humans would be eliminated before they could become dangerous. A full extermination fleet would be dispatched immediately. In yet another region of space, the Void Hunters received the human signal with predatory excitement. These were beings of living shadow who fed on the life energy of other species. They traveled in ships that seemed to be made of crystallized darkness, appearing and disappearing like nightmares. The Void Hunters had detected something in the human signal that the other species had missed. Mixed in with the distress call were traces of technologies that shouldn't exist in a primitive civilization. Energy signatures that suggested the humans had encountered advanced alien technology before. To the hunters, this made the humans even more appealing prey. A species that had absorbed alien knowledge would have richer life energy to feed upon. Their fleet began moving toward human space, eager to feast on this unexpected bounty. Back on the dead planet where the signal had originated, Dr. Elena Vasquez and her team were working frantically to understand what they had unleashed. They had managed to partially decode the alien device's programming and discovered something that made their blood run cold. "Elena, you need to see this," Dr. Sarah Chen called out, her voice shaking with fear. She had been working on translating the symbols that had appeared during the transmission. "I've figured out what this device was originally built for." Elena hurried over to look at Sarah's tablet. The screen showed a translation of the alien text that had appeared when the device activated. "Warning to all civilizations. The enemy comes from the void between stars. We have hidden the location of safe worlds from their sensors. If you receive this message, you have been marked for destruction. Seek help from those who fight in the darkness." Elena felt her stomach drop. "This isn't a communication device," she whispered. "It's a trap," Sarah nodded grimly. "The civilization that built this was being hunted by something terrible. They hid their location by using this device to broadcast false distress signals. Anyone who activated it would draw the hunters away from the real targets. And we just activated it, James said quietly. He had been listening to their conversation while monitoring the device's power systems. We told the entire galaxy that humanity needs help, and we gave them our exact location. Marcus Rodriguez, their security officer, was already packing up their equipment. We need to get back to the ship and contact Earth immediately, he said. Command needs to know what's coming. As they prepared to leave the alien ruins, Elena took one last look at the device that had changed everything. The symbols on its surface were dim now, but she could still see faint traces of human writing mixed in with the alien text. Somehow this ancient machine had absorbed information about humanity over the centuries, waiting for the day when humans would find it and trigger its final purpose. The research vessel, Kepler's Dream, departed from the dead planet's surface within the hour. As they traveled toward the edge of the system where they could safely activate their faster-than-light communicator, Elena composed her report to Earth Command. She tried to find words to explain how a routine archaeological expedition had accidentally announced humanity's location to every hostile civilization in the galaxy. She tried to describe the alien device that had somehow known about Earth before humans had even developed space travel. Most importantly, she tried to warn them about the forces that were probably already heading toward human space. What Elena didn't know was that her warning would arrive too late. The three major alien fleets were already moving, their courses calculated to arrive at Earth within days of each other. The Zephyrian Empire saw conquest, the Kythera Collective saw elimination, and the Void Hunters saw a feast waiting to be consumed. Each fleet was large enough to destroy Earth's regular defenses without significant losses. Together they represented an extinction-level threat that humanity had no way to prepare for in the time remaining. But there was one thing that none of these alien civilizations knew. Earth had secrets that were not recorded in any public database. Hidden fleets that had been fighting in the darkness for decades. Weapons and technologies that had been developed through contact with alien species that the galaxy had forgotten. The signal that had drawn 3 death fleets toward Earth had also reached other ears. Ears that belonged to humans who had been preparing for exactly this kind of threat for 20 years. Admiral Marcus Chen and the Ghost Fleet were racing toward home at maximum speed, their quantum-fold drives pushing the laws of physics to their limits. They would arrive just in time to remind the galaxy why humanity had earned its reputation as one of the most dangerous species ever to leave their home world. The trap that had been set by an extinct alien civilization was about to be sprung. But the hunters who came expecting to find easy prey were about to discover that they had severely underestimated their intended victims. Admiral Sarah Morrison stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Ship Defender, watching as 3 massive alien fleets approached human space from different directions. She was a veteran of many battles, but she had never seen anything like this. Each enemy fleet was larger than Earth's entire navy combined. Admiral, we're receiving reports from all outer colonies, reported Commander David Park, her communications officer. The evacuation fleets are moving as fast as they can, but there are millions of civilians still in the outer systems. Sarah nodded grimly. Earth Command had received Dr. Vasquez's warning just 2 days ago, barely enough time to begin emergency evacuations. The 3 alien fleets had appeared at the edge of human space almost simultaneously, as if they had planned their attack together. What's our defensive status? She asked. Lieutenant Commander Maria Santos, the tactical officer, looked up from her display with worry in her eyes. We have 47 ships of the line plus escort vessels and defense platforms. The enemy fleets combined have over 300 ships, many of them larger than anything we've ever built. The Zephyrian Empire fleet had arrived first, their silver ships gleaming like knives in the darkness. Their vessels moved with perfect formation, displaying the discipline of a military force that had conquered dozens of worlds. High Commander Zexathera had demanded humanity's immediate surrender, offering to accept Earth as a vassal state in exchange for minimal casualties. Earth's response had been a polite but firm refusal. The Kythera Collective fleet had arrived 6 hours later. Their bioships looked like massive insects made of living metal, pulsing with organic lights. They had sent no demands and no warnings. Their intention was clearly total extermination. The Void Hunter fleet was the most disturbing. Their ships seemed to absorb light, appearing as holes in space that hurt to look at directly. They had begun feeding on the life energy of the outer planet's ecosystems, leaving dead worlds in their wake as they advanced toward Earth. "Admiral," said Commander Park, "we're receiving a priority transmission from Mars Defense Command. Admiral Chen is requesting permission to engage the enemy." Sarah frowned. There was no Admiral Chen in Earth's fleet roster. "Who is Admiral Chen, and what ship is he commanding?" "Ma'am, he claims to be in command of something called the Ghost Fleet. He's transmitting authentication codes that date back 20 years. But according to our records, those ships were destroyed in a classified incident." Before Sarah could respond, space itself seemed to tear open behind the Zephyrian fleet. 12 ships emerged from what looked like a hole in reality, their hulls black as midnight and covered with weapons that didn't appear in any Earth military database. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Santos said with amazement in her voice, "those ships are broadcasting human identification codes, but their technology signatures are unlike anything I've ever seen." The lead ship, which identified itself as the Retribution, was massive. Larger than Earth's biggest dreadnought, it moved with a grace that seemed impossible for something so huge. Its weapons were already charging, energy building along systems that looked more alien than human. High Commander Zexathara watched the newcomers with growing concern. Her intelligence reports had said nothing about ships like these in the human fleet. The vessels that had just appeared moved like predators, and their energy signatures suggested technology that was far beyond what a primitive species should possess. "Sub-Commander," she ordered, "scan those ships. I want to know what we're dealing with." The results of the scan made her forehands tremble with fear. The human ships were using adaptive shielding technology that the Empire had only seen once before, from a species so dangerous that the Zephyrians had retreated rather than fight them. Their weapons showed energy patterns that suggested quantum-level manipulation of matter and space-time. "High Commander," reported Sub-Commander Cathara, "those ships appear to be using technology from multiple alien civilizations. Some of these systems are more advanced than our own." Admiral Marcus Chen opened a communication channel to all 3 alien fleets. His voice was calm, but there was something in his tone that made experienced warriors pause. "This is Admiral Chen of the Terran Ghost Fleet," he said. "You have entered human space with hostile intent and threatened our civilians. You have one opportunity to withdraw, leave now, or face the consequences." High Commander Zexathara responded with the arrogance that had served the Empire well in dozens of conquests. "Human, you are outnumbered 10-1. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick." Chen's response was simple. "You should have done your research better." The Ghost Fleet attacked with a precision that stunned the alien commanders. The Retribution led the charge, its quantum torpedoes tearing through Zephyrian shields like they were made of paper. The other ghost ships moved like a pack of hunting wolves, their weapons adapting to counter each type of alien defense. The Zephyrian ship Eternal Glory fired its main plasma cannon at the human vessel Shadowhunter. The beam should have vaporized the smaller ship instantly. Instead, the human vessel's shields absorbed the energy and redirected it back at the attacker, destroying the Zephyrian ship's weapon systems. "Impossible," whispered Zexathara. "Our intelligence said they were primitives." The Kythera Collective tried to coordinate their attack through their hive mind, but the Ghost Fleet's AI systems had learned to predict and counter hive mind tactics. Every time the collective ships moved to surround a human vessel, the humans were already moving to counter the maneuver. The Void Hunters attempted to use their shadow technology to become invisible, but the Ghost Fleet's sensors could track them across multiple dimensions. The human ships began targeting Void Hunter vessels that their own crews couldn't even see. Admiral Morrison watched from the bridge of the Defender as the battle unfolded. The Ghost Fleet was systematically dismantling 3 of the galaxy's most dangerous military forces, with a cold efficiency that was both inspiring and terrifying. "Ma'am," said Commander Park, "Admiral Chen is requesting that our fleet protect the evacuation routes while his ships handle the main engagement." Sarah realized that the Ghost Fleet didn't need their help. These mysterious ships were fighting a battle that Earth's regular forces couldn't even comprehend. "All ships, form defensive positions around the evacuation corridors. Let the Ghost Fleet do what they came here to do." The battle lasted 3 hours. When it was over, the 3 alien fleets were either destroyed or retreating in panic. The Zephyrian Empire had lost half their ships. The Kythera Collective's biovessels were drifting lifeless in space. The Void Hunters had simply vanished, fleeing back to whatever dark dimension they came from. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the main display of every ship in the human fleet. He looked tired, like a man who had been fighting for far too long. Earth Defense Command, this is Admiral Chen. The immediate threat has been neutralized. We need to talk. As the Ghost Fleet took up defensive positions around Earth, Admiral Morrison realized that humanity's place in the galaxy had just changed forever. They were no longer the quiet newcomers that other species could ignore or threaten. The galaxy had just learned that humans had teeth and they weren't afraid to use them, but Sarah also realized that this victory had come at a cost. The existence of the Ghost Fleet raised questions about what other secrets Earth's government had been keeping. What other wars had been fought in the darkness while civilians went about their daily lives? The aliens who had come to conquer or destroy humanity were gone, but they would spread word of what they had seen. Soon, every civilization in the galaxy would know that humans were not the weak prey they appeared to be. The age of hiding in the shadows was over. Humanity had been forced into the light and there was no going back. 6 months after the battle, Dr. Elena Vasquez stood in the reconstructed alien ruins on the dead planet where everything had begun. The site had been transformed into a major research facility, with scientists from across human space working to understand the ancient technology that had changed their fate. The alien device still stood at the center of the ruins, but now it was surrounded by human equipment and research stations. Elena had spent months studying the machine that had accidentally announced humanity's location to the galaxy. What she had discovered changed everything they thought they knew about their place in the universe. Dr. Vasquez called out Dr. James Park, who had been promoted to lead the technical analysis team. "We finished decoding the final memory banks. You need to see this." Elena walked over to the main display where the alien device's complete history was being shown in holographic detail. The images told a story that was millions of years old, about a galaxy-wide war between species of light and creatures of darkness. The civilization that built this device wasn't just hiding from the Void Hunters, James explained. They were part of a massive alliance of species fighting against an invasion from another dimension. The device wasn't meant to call for help. It was meant to call for the next generation of defenders. Elena stared at the images showing battles between fleets of ships and creatures made of living shadow. "Are you saying that this was all planned? That we were meant to find this device?" "Not exactly planned," said Dr. Sarah Chen, joining their conversation. She had been working on translating the most complex parts of the alien records, but predicted. The Ancient Alliance knew that they would eventually lose their war, so they scattered these devices across the galaxy. Each one was programmed to activate when a new spacefaring species reached a certain level of development. The holographic display showed the moment when the device had awakened after detecting human radio signals over the decades. It had slowly absorbed information about Earth's languages, mathematics, and technology, waiting for the day when humans would find it and prove themselves ready for the truth. The device sent 2 signals, Sarah continued. One was the distress call that attracted the 3 fleets to Earth. The other was a much more complex message that went to specific coordinates in deep space. A message meant for humanity's secret defenders. Elena understood now. The Ghost Fleet hadn't just happened to be in the right place at the right time. They had been guided home by an alien intelligence that had been watching humanity for decades, waiting to see if they would be worthy successors to the Ancient Alliance. On Earth, Admiral Marcus Chen stood in the chambers of the Global Defense Council, facing questions that he had dreaded for 20 years. The existence of the Ghost Fleet could no longer be kept secret, and the people of Earth deserved to know the truth about the wars that had been fought in their name. "Admiral," said Council President Maria Santos, "please explain to us exactly what the Ghost Fleet has been doing for the past 2 decades. Marcus looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. Some showed anger at being kept in the dark. Others showed fear at what they were learning about the galaxy beyond their world. A few showed the same grim determination that he had carried for so many years. 23 years ago, he began, our deep space exploration vessels encountered evidence of hostile alien activity beyond the edge of known space. Species that viewed humanity as either a threat to be eliminated or prey to be consumed. The decision was made to create a special fleet that would engage these threats far from Earth, keeping the war away from our civilians. He activated a holographic display that showed the locations of battles that had never been reported to the public. Dozens of star systems where the Ghost fleet had fought and won against enemies that could have destroyed human civilization. We encountered the Zephyrian Empire during their expansion into a neighboring galaxy. We fought 3 major engagements against them, learning their tactics and capturing their technology. We discovered Kythera collective scout fleets probing the edges of human space and drove them back before they could report our location. We hunted Void Hunter packs across the dark spaces between stars, protecting dozens of innocent species from their predation. President Santos leaned forward in her chair. And you never thought to inform Earth's government about any of this? Every day, Marcus replied honestly. But we also knew that if Earth learned about these threats, panic would have set in. Resources would have been diverted from exploration and colonization to military buildup. Humanity would have become a fortress world, afraid to reach for the stars. Admiral Sarah Morrison, who had been invited to attend the briefing, spoke up from her position near the wall. Admiral Chen's fleet saved my ships and our civilians from total destruction. Without their intervention, we would have lost millions of lives and possibly our entire civilization. The debate continued for hours, but the conclusion was inevitable. Humanity could no longer hide from the galaxy. The battle against the 3 fleets had sent a message across known space that humans were not the helpless primitives that other species had assumed. Reports were already coming in from the outer colonies about alien vessels approaching human space. Not warships this time, but diplomatic vessels from species that wanted to establish contact with the civilization that had defeated 3 major military powers in a single battle. Dr. Elena Vasquez returned to Earth for the first time in months to attend a special ceremony at the Global Defense Headquarters. The alien device from the dead planet had been carefully transported to Earth and installed in a place of honor in the lobby of the building. She stood before the device with Admiral Chen and President Santos, watching as the symbols on its surface glowed with soft light. The machine was quiet now, its purpose fulfilled, but Elena could still see traces of human and alien writing flowing across its crystalline surface. "Dr. Vasquez," said President Santos, "your discovery has changed the course of human history. Because of your work, we learned about threats that we never knew existed, and we discovered that we have protectors we never knew about." Elena looked at the ancient device and thought about the civilization that had built it millions of years ago. They had faced an impossible enemy and lost everything, but they had also left behind the tools that future species would need to continue their fight. "I don't think we discovered anything by accident," she said quietly. "I think we were chosen for this. The device was waiting for us, and the Ghost Fleet was prepared for exactly this kind of threat. We're not just explorers or colonists anymore. We're the next generation of guardians." Admiral Chen nodded in agreement. The ancient war never really ended. It just moved to a new generation of fighters. The Void Hunters and species like them are still out there, still threatening innocent civilizations. But now they know that humanity stands in their way. 6 months later, the first Earth embassy was established on the neutral world of Kepler Station, where dozens of alien species came to meet with human diplomats. The galaxy had been forced to acknowledge that humanity was no longer a primitive species to be ignored or conquered. But along with diplomatic recognition came new responsibilities. The ancient device had not just called for help. It had passed on a sacred duty to protect the innocent and fight against the darkness that threatened all life in the galaxy. The Ghost Fleet returned to active duty, no longer operating in secret, but as humanity's acknowledged protectors. New ships were built using the alien technologies they had captured over the years. Young men and women volunteered to join the crews that would patrol the dark spaces between stars. Dr. Elena Vasquez often returned to the alien ruins where everything had begun. The device still stood there, now surrounded by a small memorial to the civilization that had built it. Sometimes she would place her hand on its crystal surface and feel the faint vibrations that suggested it was still listening, still watching. The signal that had seemed like a mistake had actually been the beginning of humanity's true destiny. Earth was no longer hiding on the edge of the galaxy. They had taken their place among the stars as guardians of peace and protectors of the innocent. And in the dark spaces where the Void Hunters lurked, word had spread that a new enemy had joined the ancient war. A species that fought not for conquest or resources, but for the simple belief that every civilization deserved the right to exist and grow. the galaxy had learned to fear humanity's fleets. But more importantly, it had learned to hope that when darkness threatened, the humans would be there to stand against it.